Hey guys, what's up? So today I have a video for you. I'm going to be having some tea that I got for my birthday. Thank you, Kayla. It's the Ruby Sipper. I know it's going to be good. I haven't tasted it yet. Hold on. Before I put this honey in, which is orange blossom honey with saffron. It's really good. Yeah. Today I'm going to bring you a video about... Ooh, that should be more than enough. I'm going to bring you a video about my 2019 goals, and I filmed this over and over and over again, but I haven't really gotten to, like, I wasn't really happy with the way I rambled on and on and on about things, and I wanted to be a little bit more focused, but my goals that I wrote down weren't really focused, and this is why I don't like to, like, make goals right away exactly at the beginning of the year, because, you know, I don't necessarily know what I want January 1st. This is really good honey. But yeah, now that I've kind of given it some thought, I have a better focus of what I really want. So it's not just me sipping tea. What I'm going to be doing, let's get that out of the way, is I'm going to be drawing as I talk about my goals. So let's get to it. I'm probably going to be drawing like a bunch of little Damakos doodles. And I have like 3 files of me drawing him, like, but I wasn't really happy with the lighting, and then like I was rambling, so before I start rambling again, let's hop into it. So 2019 goals, yes. So the first one is complete at least 2 comics this year. And when I say 2 comics, I don't mean these sprawling epics or anything. I have a couple short stories that I like wrote down and sketched out in my older sketchbooks that I really want to focus in on, and you know, they're stories that pertain to the characters that come from Potions Guide already. So that's like one of my main goals, is to have some comics done and completed, which I figure I'm already headed toward that goal, like, anyway, because I'm halfway through a comic already that I'm working on about how the 2 main characters of Potion Guide met, Damakos and Dio. It's like a comic about how they met, and I don't want to spoil anything because it's pretty interesting, I think. And I've been working on this comic since last year, so for the most part I'm almost done with it now, and I'm almost ready to release it to the public. But that's just one of the goals that I have, because I haven't really like made a comic, like a story comic, since perhaps like 2009, when I actually had it up on like Comic Fury, and that was one of my sites that I put my comics on. And it's still gotta be one of the sites that I put my comics on, because I really like Comic Fury. It's smallish, it's not too busy, the community is nice. Yeah, the next goal is set up my portfolio / central hub for my art. And yeah, this is a really important goal, I think, because I never really had a central place for my art. The most centralized place that I ever had for my art, that was like the most stable place, surprisingly enough, was DeviantArt, and that was all the way back in like 2005 that I had that account. So I don't really use that account anymore. I pop in every once in a while on another account, but I don't upload there as much, and it's funny because DeviantArt, for as much as it stayed the same, a lot of it has changed over the years, and I just don't feel like that's my scene anymore, but it was a good start. I made a lot of friends there too, but yeah, I didn't really have, for a very long time, a stable place to put my art, and the only place that I could say that for sure that I had to put my art that was like what I could call stable was Tumblr. And I really don't like Tumblr anymore, especially after like what transpired not too long ago. I can't remember if it was like the end of the year last year or the beginning of this year. But it's just a hot mess right now, and I really don't feel like dealing or handling Tumblr. Like, it's just out of my control. It's out of a lot of people's control, and there are a lot of things that got censored, a lot of my art that got censored that's not inappropriate. So I don't feel like sifting through things. I just want to kind of up and leave Tumblr completely. But in light of that kind of like indicates to me that no place really is safe, especially if it's like social media. Like, they could shut you down at any given moment without even like saying anything to you or like things like that, you know. They can just, because it's their company, they can just shut you down. And it sucks, you know, like it sucks to not be able to have complete control over what you can put up and what you know, even if you're not like doing anything like really weird, you know, they still can be like, oh, well, this violates. And like, this happens everywhere with every social media. You're kind of beholden to their rules and their regulations, however stupid and arbitrary they are, because it all comes down to the companies that own them. And, you know, if you're not quote unquote, for the most part, advertiser friendly, they're not gonna want to host you. So it's kind of like this big form of like, I don't want to say censorship, because that's just such a loaded word nowadays that like certain people like to use for their own bent. But you know what I mean? Like, even stuff like this, like I just like to draw, and a lot of people that I knew or like met over social media, for one reason or another, had to like move their stuff or move shop because for whatever reason. And it's not that they were like doing anything bad, it just wasn't working out for them. And you know, to some extent, like Patreon is the same way for a lot of friends of mine. But yeah, I just really, for the most part, want like I want a portfolio site, like a centralized hub for all my art, because right now it's scattered between several places on social media. It's scattered between my Instagram and my Twitter, and like some of my stuff goes on Webtoon, and some of it is like just on my like Weebly, like my random ass Weebly thing that I like to call a portfolio, and I hate showing people it because it always feels incomplete. But yeah, for the most part, I keep saying for the most part, I really want a centralized place for people to find my art, and that like they know where to find me should something go down with any other social media, because it will go down. It's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's like always when you're beholden to these big companies. But it isn't just that, it's just that I don't want to send people 10 different places whenever they ask me, oh, can I see your portfolio, you know, or could you link me to your website? Because I just always felt like, and this isn't like the same for everybody, but I always felt like personally that social media isn't really enough. Like, it's not like a good place to document your work. Like Twitter, for example, is not picture friendly. It always crops your stuff at the most inconvenient spots. Like every time I want to like upload something, it always ends up being like a crotch shot or like really awkward like place that they cut it, and it's like, no, like you're like cutting out the best part of the picture, and it's like, well, too bad, so sad. That's the way Twitter does things, and that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I don't want this to be my main hub. And it archives terribly. Like a lot of these places don't really archive that well. Like the only place I would say does that like remotely well is Instagram, but Instagram is so mobile like it hates desktop, like for some reason. It just doesn't like desktop. But I just don't think that social media is a good like central hub for art, unless that's all you post. But I want to be able to interact as well. So yeah, that's goal number 2. Well, we're only on the second goal. I went rambling like I said I wouldn't, but I'm doing it anyway. So let me take a sip of tea. So my third thing on my list is experience making more merch. Now, this is really something that I really want to work on, because now that I can actually get to making more things, like I can afford to make more things, I want to experiment with making like a little bit more higher end, not higher end, but like more expensive to make things. Like not even like, oh my god, I have to make it. It's just like I want the experience of making things like charms and like acrylic charms and washi tape. Just like dealing with like manufacturers and stuff. Like I want that kind of experience to be able to like make stuff, like to like of course to sell, but also I want to see my stuff on things. And I usually like, the reason why I bought a printer was because I really wanted to print out my own work, but I also want the experience of like going to a print shop or going online to like a print shop for my stuff, especially when it comes to when I start making like, you know, books and things like that. I want the experience of manufacturing. So when I go to do that, I really want to be able to be like, know what I'm doing when I start really getting serious about selling my work. So yeah, that's just like a goal of mine. Speaking of printing, that's like another thing that I really want to do, is like print at least one thing for like a comic or a zine. Just have one thing on a print run. Limited edition probably, because I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is out forever, but you know, publishing basically. I want that experience of like publishing. Let's see. Number 4. Update / refresh Patreon. My Patreon has been through it for the past year and a half. Like I keep changing up the tiers and like changing up like what I can and can't do, and I'm beginning to solidify things that are within the realm of possibility for me, things that aren't too like out of the way for me to make while I'm trying to like be a good like person on Patreon, a good creator on Patreon. I'm trying to be consistent with like my art, like what I update for Patreon and what I update for, you know, everybody else. It's kind of tough, but for the most part, I really need to refresh my Patreon because it's had the same description for like 3 years and the tiers keep changing and it's not really been consistent enough, and I want that kind of consistency that'll make people want to stay. I keep trying to make a video for it, but like every time I make a video for it, my tiers change. So I keep like hiding the videos or whatever. But yeah, I'm trying to like be the best I can be on Patreon. And I really should put like added to this goal to like kind of push my Patreon more, let more people know that I have it, or like, you know, tell people more often about it. I know that Patreon's been like going through it with people for like the past few months, and you know, I've actually experienced some negative effects of Patreon's kind of struggle with their payment system, because I actually lost a patron because of it, and it kind of sucks to have that happen. Like I said, this is another thing about being beholden to social media. Like Patreon is basically social media, but like you get paid through it faster than other social media, I guess. And they're basically a payment processing system, and they don't really, it's just like a blog and like a place to like put your updates, and a centralized place where people can find you to support you, and that's really cool. but like just kind of the way they've been operating lately has kind of been questionable. Like I'll as an aside, I'll just say that like their business voice has changed, and like their language, the language that they use has changed, where it's like the very beginning, like back in 2015, at least when I joined, I was like an early adopter of Patreon too, but when I had joined, they were kind of more lax and loose with the way that they addressed people, which was kind of like, it's like, you know, so and so is totally crushing it. Like, I'm totally glad that term is like dead now, crushing it. I never liked crushing it. I like say that in emails, and I freaking hated it because it just sounded so unprofessional. But now that they've got like other investors backing them and stuff, it's like, we want you guys to like own your members, and your membership is very important, and you know, like business jargon, and like how do we scale your audience, and like all that. Like, it's changed over the years, and like they either lean one way too hard or the other. There's like no in between. So it's like, who is Patreon right now? Because then they'll have like other emails updating them that sound like, hello fellow teenagers, or something like that. It's just weird, and I try to like do my own thing despite all these growing pains that Patreon is going to, because I know they're working hard, and I don't want to like fault them too much, but sometimes, some months, it's like, come on, man, like you were like so much simpler than this. Like they used to be way simpler to use. Now that they have a lot more features, it's like, oh, I guess you're doing this now, you know? And I was like, I'll never use it, but thanks, you know? I'm drawing down because scared as hell. That's like his, I want to say that's his default. Just scared as hell of everything. He's not the bravest. He's not the bravest little toaster, okay? This is kind of like a frivolous goal, I guess you could call it. But like, it's not a goal that I need to do. It's just to see if I can. And these are like combined, they're not separate goals, but 500 followers on Instagram, and or 500 to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I put this here just to see like if it could happen. Like, a lot of this list, I'm not gonna be too hard on myself about these goals. I just wanted to record it to kind of have something to look back on, so that like in like 2020 I can be like, oh, did I achieve this and that, and be like, yes, no, yeah, like, you know, like, because I wanted to, I guess, document my mindset and where it's at now versus where it will be in 2020. Who knows where we'll be next year, you know? I'm already talking about next year. We just started this year, but you know, years fly by. Like, you'll be asking yourself in June where the time went. I know I will, especially like when you get older. I try not to think about it too much because that shit gets really existential really fast. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to kind of like put these goals down, like put these two things down on social media, like as a social media goal. Because while I do say that, oh, I don't follow the algorithm, I don't care, like, it does still kind of like matter, because as an artist, I want eyes on my work, you know? And I don't want just like the followers, like I want actual people, you know, to engage with. So that kind of goes hand in hand with networking. Like, yeah, you kind of got to put the work in. But so I guess that's kind of like a reminder to me, like, if I really want 500 on Instagram and 500 to 1,000 on YouTube, I'm gonna have to like put the work in, and I can't be whining about algorithm stuff, which I don't really like. It's just the way it works, like from a business standpoint. It's just that sometimes you don't want to deal with it, and I understand that, you know. And you know, it's just like a nice to have thing. It's not like a necessarily like, oh, I have to make this by the end of the year or else I failed, you know. Like, there's no failure on this list. Yeah, you notice I've not put that on this list. It's what I can accomplish, and I'm going to be very patient with myself and very patient with the pace in which I attempt to complete these goals. I didn't make anything too lofty or anything too, like, I like to keep it simple or else I'll kind of like get really nervous about it. So I've been kind of reeling back on like my goals because I like to look at things as they are achievable and not necessarily like, oh, you know, do this, you know, like big thing. Not that I'm saying I don't think big, it's just that I tend to be, I don't want to be like, oh, do this thing by 2020, because then if I don't do it, then I'll be like, why did I even put this on the list? You know? So yeah, that was kind of a thing. Network, that kind of goes hand in hand with the last thing. I am kind of a hermit on social media, which is an oxymoron, I know, but as it stands right now, I'm kind of like, I wanna make more friends, and I wanna make more art friends, not just people to just talk to, you know? Yeah, that's kind of like something that I'm always working on, is trying to network and not just like show my art and then leave like I've been doing. I have to engage, so it'll be really helpful for me to engage, because then I can talk to more people about more things. And I guess I have trouble approaching especially other artists because I don't want to come off as somebody who's like coming out of the blue, or worst case scenario, they think that I want something from them. So, you know, it's kind of like I know I'm not like that kind of person, but you know, there are a lot of people that approach a lot of artists with that mindset. So I know a lot of like artists that have their guard up kind of instantly, especially if they're bigger artists. They have their guard up and they don't want to like be used. And I feel that way too. It's just really difficult to try to like approach an artist without them thinking, oh, what do they want, you know? So that's kind of like where I'm at right now. I'm trying not to like be automatically presumptuous of other people too. So it's like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, they don't want to talk to me, I'm not good enough, you know? That's kind of like a big thing that a big hurdle that I have. So yeah, that's networking. And also like trying to talk to like other pros, and talking to you know, people in the industry, especially on Twitter. Like, I want to be able to do that, but it's kind of difficult. Like there's always going to be this wall for me, I guess, in terms of like not just skill but like social status. I don't really know anybody, and it's kind of hard to know anybody when like you're kind of like a gulf apart status wise, you know? Like everybody's got their like groups of people. Like I've got mine, and you know, they have theirs, and it's kind of like difficult to approach. It's just really difficult to approach other artists in general, okay? Like I don't really know what else to say about that, except that I have to work on it. You know, just be the best version of myself and talk to people. Here's one that's not necessarily art related, but I thought I'd put like a non-art related thing on here, because it's always good to like have another thing outside of the thing that you are passionate about to like work on. It's intermediate Japanese. This is the level that I want to get at by the end of the year at least, because I've been learning Japanese for a long time, kind of an embarrassingly long time. And you know, I'm like, why aren't I at the level that I'm at? It's because I haven't really been studying that much. I've been studying on and off since high school. That's why I'm saying it's an embarrassingly long time for me to not know Japanese. But I haven't really been consistent with my studies, and and the thing is, I'll be studying for like weeks at a time, and it'll start working, and then for some reason or another, I'll fall off. And I'm like, why did I do that? It was working, you know? So yeah, I'm tired of not knowing the language. I'm tired of like being illiterate and not being able to speak it. And you know, it's it's something that I really want to accomplish, because of course I want to go to Japan one day. Maybe not next year for the Olympics, but you know, it's in my peripherals, and I really want to know the language. Like when I get there, I don't want to be lost. So that's kind of like a goal, like a lifelong goal of mine, really. But I want to get to at least like reading it well enough and being able to hold a conversation. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to be like, I don't have to be fluent, absolutely fluent, to be able to like do those two things. You know what I mean? So realistic goals for Japanese is become intermediate. And to actually like consistently study. I should be studying right now, actually. Consistently studying and like watching like shows that speak normal Japanese, and like, you know, even when I'm tired or I feel lazy that day, I should still like make time for it. It's like anything else. It's like for when I started drawing, like I made time for it all the time, and this is where I'm at right now. I'm not saying that I'm the best, but I am at a level that I wouldn't have been at if I didn't keep at it. So yeah, intermediate Japanese. What's next? Monthly art print. Monthly art print. Now that's an interesting one. I put like a little asterisk next to it because timed things, like even like New Year's resolutions and New Year's goals and all that, timed things like that I'm not too fond of doing. So like monthly things, like, oh, it's March, gotta do a print, you know, that's kind of like never really been my jam. Like if I like scale it down, maybe I should like put see, I'm still like reworking my goals as I go, guys. It's okay. Maybe I should put like, instead of a whole entire print, I should just say like my voice is kind of raspy, I'm sorry guys. I should put like postcard, like monthly postcard, and just do studies of like storyboards. And make those like a monthly thing, like a simple thing. Oh, here's another thing, speaking of prints, and I didn't write it down, but more traditional art, more painting. I say that as I'm sketching on my iPad, but yeah, I want to like dig into these acrylic gouache that I bought, and into my watercolors. Now these aren't very mobile, like they're not very mobile because you have to have like a water palette, and like you have to have paintbrushes, and you have to have jars of water, and it's kind of like cumbersome to be able to carry all that, and I don't really have time for all that, you know, I don't. So usually I just carry watercolor with me because it's easy to carry and it's easy to work with when you're out. But that's a sidetrack. Let's see, what else? I'm trying to fit as many damakoses into one file as I can as I talk to you guys. More studies. We're almost at the end of my list. More studies, of course. Anatomy and boarding, more storyboards. I'm really working at that, guys. Especially when it comes to me wanting to make comics, I really want to do more studies concerning those things. Anatomy, storyboards, like scenery. Like I don't, like I as much as I love drawing Damakos facing left 3/4, I don't want to keep drawing characters like that, like kind of a static sort of pose. I want to like make stories and like see, like think, if you look at it you can tell what's going on, like you can tell like the setting and like maybe if it's raining or how the character might feel or what they might be doing or how they interact with other characters. That's kind of like what I'm going for when it comes to like making art. I don't want to just make, oh, another character facing left, you know, that's getting a little boring to me. Like I like making sketch pages like these because at least I get to like pose them out and you can see like a little bit of Damako's character whenever I draw things like this. So I don't really ever draw like characters 3/4 facing left or right, just static by itself, but I will tell you that I'm tired of drawing characters in blank space that have like no support. See, I just want to draw a table here just cause, you know, he needs something to lean on. And then you've got like some like potion bottles here, like, and then you've got like papers maybe, and like maybe like a cash register here, and boom, like you've got a freaking scene of maybe he's in his shop right now, he's in his potion shop and he's leaning over the table like what are you buying, and like the customer's like, what are you selling? I don't know, but you get my point. Like I want to be able to do that more with like my studies, and you know, like I just love drawing Damakos and his sassy self. So this is kind of what you're watching me do, or you're drawing along with me. That's cool too. I like when people say in the comments that they enjoyed listening to me talk while they draw. Like, just because I'm in video format doesn't mean you have to watch every second of me doing this. It's nice if you guys want to make some progress on your own art too, and that helps you towards your art goals. So the last and final thing is Gumroad. This should have been up with like my print, publishing, digital, physical media type things, but for the most part, I just kind of tacked it on there because it's like, oh yeah, I have a Gumroad, which I'll link in the description if I can remember. But I want to, like, since I have so many files like this, just like a spread of like characters and stuff, I basically want to add to like my Gumroad account and like have more digital stuff available for people, because make like digital sketchbooks and more digital sketchbooks, and like even physical sketchbooks that I scan and convert to PDF and like make available online. Yeah, I really want to like get into the digital media type thing and just make it available for people, because Gumroad is so neat and it's so easy to use too. I've been really enjoying like my experience there. I think I published like 2 things there last year, and it was like sketchbooks, and a few people bought it, and I'm really proud of myself for that. There's a lot to be proud of, like a lot of stuff that I one ad. So there's a lot of stuff to be proud of from last year that I'll say I accomplished. I did so much last year, and I really looked back on it and went, wow, I did all that last year. Like I opened up my shop, and I'll call that a success because I do get eyeballs on it, you know? And it's just nice to be able to like do things like that, like actually accomplish things. So I'm looking forward to what I can accomplish in this new year coming up, or this new year that's here already. Like it's almost March, but I feel like really optimistic about it. And I used to be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be so optimistic about like New Year's just because it's a new year. Time keeps on rolling, you know, but everything just feels so new because the seasons are resetting and spring is coming and all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what kind of goals, sorry